Okay, guys, welcome to the weekly Inside Real Estate Tips and Tactics webinar. If you can hear me, go ahead and say hello in the questions box. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask there. These are always recorded. You'll find the recording posted once to the group, facebook.com/group/conversion. And I also made a little playlist over here. Maybe I'll bring that up over on the conversion Facebook page. There's a playlist up top that'll have all of these in this series. If you go to the page, it says videos, and then it'll be right up here up top. My name's Ryan, and we should have a guest today. I don't know if he's here yet. Shane, if you're here, go ahead and just say hello, and I'll get you piped in. You might be having troubles logging in. But the topic today is Facebook retargeting with conversion and KV Core. And I says here with special guest lender power user Shane Bond 007. A lot of you guys might know Shane, and the reason I have him on today, we work a lot together, and Shane has probably done more of this particular type of retargeting, specifically with Facebook, than anybody I know. And he's going to have some cool insight on what's going on. So what I'll do is I'll start out by kind of running through the basics of retargeting. We'll talk about different kinds of retargeting, different scenarios with your conversion sites, and then we'll let Shane pipe in with specific examples toward the end of the stuff he's doing, which you guys can glean some useful stuff out of, I'm sure. So let's start by talking about what is retargeting, remarketing. I'm guessing most of you guys have heard this term, these two phrases right now, but in a nutshell, what it is somebody visits your site, visits a website, you leave, and then you start to see ads follow you around for whatever was being shown. And you know, if you've ever been on Amazon, Walmart, any big sites, pretty much everybody who knows anything, you know, is doing any kind of high-level marketing right now is using remarketing and retargeting. Now, I think the proper term is actually remarketing, but a lot of people say retargeting. They're used interchangeably. But here's a little graphic. Users go to your website, users leave, they see an ad, and the whole idea is that you're going to pull them back into your fold. Why this is particularly useful in real estate is just the fact that most people visiting our sites these days, they're early on in the sales cycle, right? They might not be thinking of buying or selling for a long time. And truth is, they may be opting into 10 other real estate sites at the same time. There's no real loyalty in the beginning of the search process. And remarketing, retargeting is a tool we can use to start to build trust, get people to know, like, and trust us, and increase our conversions over time. So while this session is going to be, we're going to touch base on conversion and KV Core, you know, the specific things your sites can do. Just know that this is a specific conversion, CONVERSION tool, and it's something all of us should really be doing if we care about the money we're investing in a system like conversion or KV Core in order to cover our investment, and also to cover and hedge and make sure that we get the most out of the initial dollars we spend on the traffic to generate leads. If we're going to generate the lead, we might as well be doing this, because more and more our competitors are going to be doing it too, and we got to stay ahead of the curve. All right, that was sort of a long-winded why. I think a lot of you guys knew that, but just wanted to get through the fundamentals for anybody who didn't know what retargeting was. And then what we're going to do next is I'm going to run through the steps to take in order to launch a retargeting campaign. It's really not that complex. The first thing you're going to need is a Facebook Business Manager account. You can get one of those at facebook.com/business or business.facebook.com, I believe. You want to make sure you have an ads account. I think a lot of you guys probably do at this point, but that's where you would go, business.facebook.com, create your account, and then you're going to want to install the Facebook Pixel. You might have heard that term. And if I'm going too fast, anybody, just let me know. I tend to go a little quick, but just slow me down, ask questions. Annalise is here to help moderate. Shane can answer questions. But you're going to want to go into your Business Manager, and you're going to go back in here. I just had the screen up in another window. Pull that over. I hope I'm sharing. Annalise, you can see this screen with the Facebook Pixel, not my other monitor, right? With the Facebook dashboard.
I see the ads manager with the Facebook icon on the top left, and your lovely photo and nice hat.
Oh, yes. And it was for Shane because he's gonna be on today. Yeah. So let's see. Where you're gonna find your pixels, go to Ads Manager up at the top here. you're going to go to All Tools. It should fly out like this, and you'll find your pixels right here. Now, in order to get your pixel installed on regular conversion, you're going to need to just send it to support. That's support@conversion.com. And you're going to copy and paste your main pixel like so. It's really not hard. Over at the right, I'm going to see my main pixel. I'm going to click Details. Don't make fun of me. I get this wrong every time. We'll click Set Up. And then just go to where it says Manually Install the code right here. And go to option 2 and copy the code to your clipboard. And this is what you're going to email over. Now, you could try clicking the email, but I think you'd be better off, you could type support a conversion in here. They might not know who it's from if you do that. So I would just go ahead and copy the actual code and then manually send an email over to conversion support. Let them know if you want to have it on your subdomain, your specific agent account, or if you're a broker and you want it on your whole account, do it that way. To do this on KV Core, it's pretty simple. You're going to go to the KV Core websites section, Web and IDX. You're going to click Websites here. So it's kvcore.com/websites. And then you're going to pick the site you want to put it on. Over to the right, I'm going to click Edit. And then you'll see a section for custom headers. So you can self-serve the placing of the pixel in KV Core currently. So you just paste it right down in here. You know what? Go ahead and do it right now. Click Save. Okay.
Hey, Ryan, someone's asking if you could just slow it down just a titch.
Yep, no problem. Just know that there will be a recording too. You can always go back and look. But basically, the Facebook pixel can be found if you go to the Events Manager. If you go to this flyout up at the top and you go to All Tools and you click Pixels, you'll be able to find it in there. And I don't expect any of you guys, when you're watching trainings like this, I don't expect you to be doing this in real time. Follow me along. Just know we'll have the recording. Now's a good time to just get the basic ideas and frameworks for how the flow works, and then go back later and do it. Okay, so that's the first step. We're going to install our Facebook pixel on our site, and it'll be on your whole site. There's a lot you can do from there. Facebook will start to track visitors, and you'll be able to slice and dice them into custom audiences next. And that's going to be the second step, is to create a custom audience or custom audiences for the different types of people you want to retarget. So I'm going to now walk through the different ways you can retarget, and I've kind of come up with a bunch using Facebook's options. We're going to talk about each of these ones. I don't want to bore you guys to death, but I think by going through all of these, it'll give you some inspiration and some ideas for what you can do. So let's see here. Shane, oh, there you are. Shane, I'll bring you on in a minute, all right? There you are. Let's first go back over here and talk about the first type of audience creation. Losing myself, 1 second. Bring this browser back to the top. And you're going to be able to create your audiences by doing the same flyout up at the top left here. It's going to fly down. You're going to go click on Audiences next. And Shane, do you have audio? Try talking. Not all. Maybe Annalise, you can unlock Shane. And you're going to start. You're going to click where it says Create Audience, and you're going to choose Custom Audience right here. And the first option that we're going to see is that we have the customer file option right here. So this is where you can go ahead and upload your own data, your own email addresses, phone numbers, and build audiences that you can then show ads to in Facebook. So this is most relevant for cases where you have information from before. Your past clients would be a great segment to run retargeting, to retarget and run ads to. Agents, if you have a list of agents who you've tried to recruit in the past, and I won't mince words, I don't know if it's a cool thing to do, but I think all of you guys at some point have tried to get a list of all the agents from your board to show recruiting ads to, so that might be where you do this. And then your sphere, maybe you dump out a list of people in your sphere of influence from your CRM, from Conversion or another CRM. You can upload all these as specific customer files in order to run ads at them. The next type of custom ad, custom audience you're going to create is based on website traffic, and this is more in line with real retargeting of the actual traffic that's been coming to your website. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to, again, go create audience, custom audience. And then the second option down here is website traffic, like so. Give me a second here. Let's see if I can give Shane audio.
I think I'm a real person now.
Yeah, you're on. I don't know if your video's live or what, but welcome, Shane. All right, now, Shane, feel free to interrupt me because you're probably laughing at me scrambling around trying to find this stuff. You live in this dashboard way more than I do, but just let me know if things come to mind. So the next option then, we have our website visitors. And what you can do is you can do all website visitors. Bring my notes back up here. You can do people who have visited specific pages, and this is where it can get very interesting. For example, I can come in here and I can say, create an audience with all my website visitors. I can go, people who visited just sell.php. And of course, that would be people, maybe I'm running ads to get people to do home valuations to generate seller leads. So anybody who visits that, I would put in a visited my home evaluation page. Custom audience. Then I can also create other audiences that are mixes and matches. I can do sell.php, and I can do and also, and this is a little tip here, you can do full address. The URL contains the term full address. And the way I came up with this is by opting in as a seller lead on my own site, and then I looked up in the address bar and saw that it had a parameter full address. So if you do, it has self.php and full address, that means they would have had to have put their address in. And you could have a second retargeting list custom audience for people who are actually seller leads. You might want to run an ad to this audience and exclude the others. And we'll get to the point where we run the actual ads in a minute with Shane, but just know these are the types of audiences you're going to want to think about setting up in the beginning. We can create audience.
Too, Ryan.
Go ahead,
sorry.
Yep.
Just real quick, the cool thing with that, with the seller type stuff, is that if you're driving traffic to that, your sell.php and people aren't opting in, or you're getting a lot of addresses, right, and you're not getting email addresses and phone numbers, if you retarget them and you use like a Facebook lead form, for example, you can pull a lot of email addresses and phone numbers now from those people that came to your website, and it might take a little work to figure out who they are and which address they match up with, but at least now you're getting actual contact data, right, where I can actually reach out and give you a call or shoot you an email. Sometimes people won't opt in with the email address and phone number on the website directly, but they'll do it via, they'll respond to a different type of ad on Facebook, which sometimes allows you to pick up a couple extra leads, with actual phone numbers and whatnot that way.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because you could even say, hey, the people who became seller leads, let's go ahead and show them ads for bigger houses now on the buy side. And if you know that everybody who opted into that also has a house.
Yeah, they do also, like, to a lot of those people too will come back and they'll look at other similar homes in the area. So just to kind of keep them, the funny thing with these audiences, the cool thing with retargeting too, is like the more buckets that people fall into, the more they're going to see you. So if someone, hits my website and they fall under my pixel, right, and then they also engage with something on Facebook and I have that audience set up, they're going to now see me twice as much. So it's kind of just like bringing those people back to your website, getting them to engage in your content and that sort of thing, so that you kind of keep them in that endless circle of brainwashing them.
In your web, right? That you like to call it. Yeah.
Got to keep them in the web. Funnels are dead.
Greg's asking a quick question. Can we have more than one pixel on our Facebook account? No, I don't think you can. But the way it works is if you have multiple businesses, I actually have this scenario where, if you're running ads for multiple things or different sites, you would just use this website targeting, and you would just say, hey, here's my custom audience for, say, conversion.com, right? And you just put the URL in the custom audience. You can't do more than one pixel, right, Shane?
That I don't know. You might be able to, actually. I just, I did the same thing as you. I just single it out based on the web address. You might be able to have more than one. I just haven't found a use for it. because I can separate stuff out just by domain contains. You don't even need the full web address, even if it's just like contains those words. So if you're a subdomain, and you put your name in every domain you're part of, it'll kind of all pool together.
Yep. So, and that's exactly what we're doing here on the screen. I keep switching back here. I'm gonna make this a little friendlier. Bear with me, guys. There we go. We'll keep it in one browser so it's easier to switch back and forth. All right. So yes, that's what we have here. People who visit specific web pages, solid PHP, and this full address. So you can slice and dice that way. Here's another big one that, I mean, if you showed a seller you were doing this, it would probably blow their minds in a listing presentation. But why not run an ad for a specific listing, right? So we would target a website address. The web address has the MLS number in it, right? It contains, so that we know they're on that property. And then what if you ran a retargeting ad that thanked them for looking at your listing? Little bit of work, but hey, you just do it in front of camera like I am right now talking to you guys. Hey, you were at my listing at 123 Main Street. Thanks a lot. Do me a favor. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Right, something like that. Have you ever done that, Shane?
I have actually, yeah, and I've also done things where like if someone if you use the completed lead form type thing, where if someone completes my lead form, then I give them access to a link to like my Matterport tour or aerial tour or something like that, where that kind of follows them around. It's really, we as agents, you guys pay a lot of money for these different things, right? Good photos, good virtual tour, good virtual walkthrough, and the reality is they're mostly just given away, So I'll see an agent just like post it on Facebook, and it's like, well, you paid a ton of money for that. I get it that you like want to get exposure, but I really want buyers. At the end of the day, is what you're going for. Another cool thing on that too, in addition to the single listing, I'm pretty sure like if you on your conversion site are searching for a particular town or county, that town name actually shows up in the URL as well. So I could, pick a town that I'm trying to target, and I could say, okay, anyone that hit, my website and had that town name in there, I could retarget with listings in that town as well, or maybe the town next door, or something like that. Because you do get that info in the URL.
Yep, great point, Shane. So anything that's in this URL, as people are searching your site, you can then create an audience out of and retarget. I have here a specific blog post, same thing. If you have a specific free report or something that you're redirecting people to, and maybe you're giving it to them after a lead ad form, you could track that specific blog post, create an audience of everybody who's viewed that blog post, again, and then later send them related content or simply thank them for visiting the blog post and ask them what they thought of it. And then here, Shane, I imagine you do this for Bond Street Mortgage, finance.php, if people are visiting the quote page.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I like to show financing stuff even if they don't visit financing.
Right. Yeah. Because and for any lenders who are watching, or for anybody here who does co-marketing with a lender, make sure your lender sees this, because that's a key point Shane's bringing up. Anybody who's in market searching on your site is probably also interested at some point, or will need to get pre-approved for a mortgage. So any lender watching this, you could probably actually use this stuff more than a lot of agents could, because you're simply going to retarget as much of this data as you can, right, Shane?
And I think the thing is too is it helps the agent as well, because I get a second opt-in, right? So if someone's looking at houses, and they're browsing your website for a long time, and then your lender's running retargeting as well, and that person raises their hand on a financing type ad, now that person's serious, right? That person went from now just like browsing your website for the past 3 years to saying, hey, let me figure out how I'm going to pay for this. So when you get that second opt-in, that's like, then it's like all systems go, right? Like this person's ready to go. They're ready to buy a house. They've been browsing on my website for 2 years, and now they're probably ready to buy something because they're trying to figure out how to pay for it.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, showing the same person ads from 2 angles is not going to hurt things. Somebody just asked if they can get a copy of the document. We'll definitely put it with the recording, and I think I just successfully dropped it in the GoToWebinar, though I'm not sure. So if you guys did get it, let me know. I'll just drop it again just in case. Let's see. Or did that only go to Andrea? If you didn't get it, let me know.
Looks like it's in the
Okay.
comment section there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can only see that it went to the one person. I can't see if it went to everybody. Okay, great. So that's specific website traffic. They visited specific URLs. The next type of custom audiences you can build are by time spent. And I'll be honest, I've never used this. I actually heard something about a week ago, forgot about it. And today when I was preparing for this, I thought to myself, why am I not using this? Because basically what you can do is you can target the people who are spending the most amount of time recently on your site. So if you got your top 5% of visitors, if you have tons of leads on your conversion site, and you want to target just the people who are like rabidly looking right now, look at that. Top 5% in the past 7 days, you can send a very targeted message. Hey, saw you're on my site the other day, right? I'm here for you. What do you need? Shane, are you using this option?
I actually, I'm not, but I do, I've wanted to, that and the, video view type stuff like that, where, the percentage type stuff. For me, I honestly, cast a super wide web. So I just like, if you engage with me at all, I'm going to follow you around the internet forever as hard as I can until you're ready to go. But, for a more specific, and that's all, I'm usually running things from more of like a brokerage level or a lender standpoint. But if I'm the independent agent, that's definitely a super beneficial thing to be able to say, hey, I don't have an enormous budget. Let me take my budget and push it behind my super fans. These are the people that are actively looking, coming back to your website day after day, spending a lot of time there, looking, these are the people that really, they're your super fans. They're ready to go, or they don't, or they need direction, right? If I'm sitting on a property search website and looking at, a bunch of properties, I need an agent to tell me like, hey, you're all over the place, man. Relax. What are you looking for?
Right. Are you talking to me or the person?
Both of you.
I'm joking. I was playing around my drawing tool. I didn't know if it was distracting. All right. So that's it. Visitors by time. I think we should all take a hard look at that, see what happens when we target our top 5% of visitors, create a separate audience for that. The page view frequency. This one is, let's see, page view. So if you go to page view and you refine by frequency, this is if they viewed a whole bunch of pages. So, if somebody has looked at 200 pages on your site, they're just like the time spent, probably very much in market and looking to do something soon. So that's similar. Let's see. And then now the next type is going to be one of our favorites. I got to get rid of this ARP here. Is going to be the lead ad forms. And these, for those of you guys who are running lead ads, we talked about Zapier last week in last week's session, but this is an opportunity to really convert the lead ads that don't convert. And if you come into custom audiences, you create right here, and it's going to be under engagement. You're going to see this lead form option. So I'll refresh for everybody. A lead form is where directly inside of Facebook, they fill out their name, email, phone, other information, maybe their address directly, and then submit it within Facebook. You can actually target people who opened the form but didn't submit it, and people who opened and submitted it. I love this one that's opened but didn't submit it, because this tells you they were interested in your actual ad to begin with, but they got scared away by having to give their contact info right there. So they were at least interested in the original idea. You can follow them up with a separate ad that's related, maybe requires less contact info or just does a different angle on the call to action. And I'm sure you're using these, right, Shane?
Yeah, I got a lot of fun with those actually on like the sell side, right? I like lead forms for sellers. I like using something along the lines of like, home values are on the rise, find out what homes are selling for in whatever town you're from, and using a lead form. So what happens with the lead form is I don't ask for that address on the lead form. I get an email address and phone number, and then I use a custom drip to my first text that goes out says, shoot me a text back with your address for a home valuation on your property. So what ends up happening is I end up with more email addresses and phone numbers and less addresses, but I'll actually then retarget them with like a home valuation type ad, go into my sell.php page, so that those people, a lot of times they'll click on that learn more button, and when they see that info with their email address and phone number already populated on that lead form, they scoot, right? But now I can go back to those people with a different level of engagement, right? Oh, hey, here's a free valuation, enter your address. Now those people, they might be comfortable giving me their address that weren't comfortable giving me their email address and phone number. Once they give me their address, I'm going to ask for their email address and phone number anyway, right? But the reality is that, I'm going to end up with more addresses, or maybe at that point they feel like they're a little more committed and they will give me that info. So I have a lot of luck with that, piggybacking that on a seller lead form and then circling back with a valuation, or vice versa,
Yeah, I love that idea. So you could actually run the lead form that asks for the full address, name, email, phone, and then your second retargeted ad could actually drive them to the sell.php page. That only requires the address.
Exactly. So that if they don't complete that form on, as part of the lead form, I can go after them from another angle. That's the reality. It's like they didn't click on. If someone clicks on your lead form, right? If you have a lead form and your ad copy is good, and you're asking someone, hey, click here for home values in whatever town you're in, they've expressed interest, right? They didn't click on that because they were bored and just like clicking stuff. They clicked on it because they had some interest in what homes were selling for in that area. Now, when that form pops up with their email address and phone number, maybe they're afraid to take that commitment. They're afraid to give you that info, and they back out. But they did have some level of interest. So those people, I don't want to lose that engagement, right? I want to keep them engaged with me. I want to keep them in my web and follow them around and come at them from another angle. Hey, click here for a full 10-page report or whatever that is. Whereas before I was just offering them random info on the area. Now I'm going to come back around and say, hey, how about your house? Find out what your home is worth. I'll put together, give me your address and I'll give you a report on your property. It kind of it's just another way of getting the most bang for your buck there.
Great. Yeah, I really like that idea, especially when I run seller ads, I try to go for, instead of just get your value, now I try to go for a full 30-page report is the way I usually word it. But I love the idea of retargeting those people who don't fill out the info with a more simpler, lower barrier to entry ad that simply takes them here to sell.php. Okay, next is the engagement on video watch time. And guys, I'll take a step back and say, don't get overwhelmed here. We're trying to show you all the possibilities. Really, you're going to do great if you just start retargeting. You can retarget everybody who visits your site, and then maybe take one or two of these other ideas. Because neither Shane or I are doing all of this. Right, Shane? You're going to go nuts.
And the reality is, I mean, the engagement ones are pretty much the majority of what I focus on, because the engagement ones I like, because if you're doing overall engagement, that's kind of your catch-all, right? So all the different things that you could do with an engagement are super niches. And if I could say, okay, I can have an ad now for people who opened my lead form but didn't submit it, all those people would get caught in your total audience anyway. If I'm just retargeting, like I use a lot of my retargeting for just branding type stuff, where I'm literally just, if you engage with anything, I'm just going to follow you around with my brand or the brand of the agents we work with, team photos, logos, that sort of thing. Where they're not even necessarily always that specific. That's where I would, focus on as a newer agent is, or someone getting new to retargeting, is website traffic and just overall engagement, because that's your catch-all. All these things are also going to be part of that. Now, if you're doing something that's a little more intense, right? It's a longer process and you're really trying to, have a niche there. The video views and all that independent stuff is really awesome. But yeah, for me, most of it is those super catch-all audiences.
Yeah. Now let's get back to the engagement stuff. I think particularly if you have longer videos, in my mind, say we've done some first-time homebuyer webinars, for example. It might be a good idea. We know that a lot of people are going to watch 10 seconds and they're going to cruise by in their stream and get distracted. But if somebody sits and watches 50% of a specific homebuyer webinar that you have recorded, they're probably a pretty hot prospect, right? So definitely video engagement, you can track and target people who watch a certain amount of a video. Another video might be just if you have property tour videos and somebody watches 100% of a video, you can follow up and say, thanks for watching a video about the property. Do you know anybody on the listing side? Okay, so the engagement. And then Shane, I'm going to briefly touch upon this before we actually get into hardcore examples. I'm going to try to give you the screen if that's okay. Or I can just, you tell me, should I just show my screen and you tell me what to click?
It doesn't really matter. You can share my screen. Okay. I think let me close some things out.
Okay. And while you do that, I'll mention this new feature. You can actually send webhooks, which I know Shane's doing, I've done, and add people from different apps, including from Conversion, onto custom audiences using Zapier. And maybe we'll get into that, but this is timely because today Conversion just launched the ability to trigger these webhooks. Again, super advanced, but from your Conversion account, you can actually trigger a webhook as part of a drip campaign.
Could you define what a webhook is for those of us like have never heard of it?
Yeah. So basically, you can trigger any website URL, and a webhook. The way the common use, and I started to record a video about this earlier today, but the guys needed to do a thing or two more for me before I could explain it correctly with the variables. But a webhook, the way that Zapier uses it is that you actually shoot information out of one system, it hits the webhook, and then an app like Zapier is able to collect the parameters at the end of the web. Again, super geeky, a little advanced. If you don't understand what I just said, it's okay. But there's going to be some more content about this. But for those of you who know what I mean, a common example will be, let's say somebody opted in for, became a seller lead, okay? And you wanted to go ahead and on day, say, 90 in your drip campaign, trigger a postcard or a voicemail to go out. But a postcard would be a good example. You can actually fill in the address of that seller lead, append it to a webhook, and have it go out that day. This falls out, me going into the nitty gritty of how to do that falls outside of what we have time for today. But just know that that's a new feature that's here. And while I'm triggering this webhook, I could actually go ahead and add that person in a second webhook to a custom audience. Right, Shane? Like another custom audience.
Yeah, I mean it's honestly, the fact that they added that in is really sick. Nobody else is doing that. Even just using Zapier to automatically push a lead to a custom audience. I was trying to find a service to do it for me, and they wanted $1,000 a month literally just to take, which is really just taking an email address and phone number and putting it into Facebook for me. But to make that automated process, they wanted a ton of money. And the fact that that's added in, and you can add that as part of a drip. So I could say, hey, you know what? If someone's on day 100 of my drip or whatever, I want to add them to an audience that just markets the hell out of them to try to get them back to my website or something like that. I mean, it's really wild to be able to use as part of a drip campaign.
If you guys are considering Conversion versus other solutions out there, and trust me, I talk to people at all of them, and I've logged in, and Shane has too, into all of them. This is not happening elsewhere. As is par for the course for Conversion. This might happen in like 3 to 6 months with some of the competitors. So this is a really big deal. If you don't understand the implications, but you have somebody techie at your company who does, definitely make sure that they're aware that this exists, because it's very powerful stuff.
Essentially, I like to think of it like this. Like, imagine a lead comes in and you want to be able to do something 3 months later. You can automate that. So if your normal protocol is a lead comes in and then I send an email, I call them, I send an email, and I send a text message, and then the next week I send them a postcard. I can literally just make that all happen, right? Yeah. Without I don't even need a person to do that anymore. So. Some admins and assistants are probably going to get upset because they're going to be in the unemployment line. But
we're going to put some ISAs out of business.
Yeah, they're going to have to find something else to do. But I mean, that's the reality. As a business person, I look at stuff like this and say, hey, how much money can I save, and how much more volume can I push through by having this sort of thing available. It's really out of control, and nobody is doing it. Nobody. I don't even think it's on. I mean, like you said, there's some other CRMs out there, and I work within a lot of them with a lot of different relationships I have, and I don't even think this is on the radar for a lot of them.
No.
I mean, it's not even a thought at this point. So it's pretty amazing to be able to have that.
Yeah, so we went a little off tangent. For now, what you need to know for the context of this webinar is that you can actually use that new webhook feature to shoot people off into custom audiences. At the same time, if you want to send postcards, voicemails, you want to trigger an interest. I need to do a whole separate video or series of videos about this. You could send a separate email from your Gmail account because maybe for whatever reason, whatever email format's been going out from conversion isn't getting through. You can send a more personalized email for another delivery service, whatever. Really cool stuff here, and I'll keep going with the content. For today.
I can literally right now, just to touch on how cool being able to push into custom audiences is. I have a friend who's an agent out in Minnesota. I set a push into a custom audience based on an email received. I set up a fake Gmail. I said, email me at this Gmail address with the email that you used to log into Facebook with, and then tell me how long it takes for you to see me. And literally, I had a custom audience of one that was following her around. It's really wild what you could do with that. Like, you could take people that email you and add them to those custom audiences. It's really insane.
I think we're going to drive a lot of people nuts, so I am going to take just a second to show, before you show examples, to show an example of this in practice inside of the Zapier account. And Shane, could you just quickly, for the guys who are going to want to know, the Zapier action is send offline event, is that correct?
Yeah, it's the Facebook offline conversions.
Okay.
Is the thing, and you have to actually set that up within your ads manager. Pop into your asset library there in Facebook. Your ads manager.
Okay.
If you hit where it says asset library, hit up there. And then hit the all tools, and it should be somewhere towards the middle, offline events there in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And you can actually create that offline event there. You can create that category and create that particular audience. And you can have as many separate offline events categories as you want, depending on who you want to push into that. And then you just have to go into the audience manager and create the audience itself. I mean, we could spend a whole day messing with offline events and that sort of thing too. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole with you here, but
yeah. But what I'll do, I'll get with you, Shane, but what I'll try to do is get some good documentation down on the webhook feature and this in particular. For the purposes of today, I just want to let people know it was possible. And it is. So yeah, you could receive an email from somebody and add them to your Facebook custom audience. That's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah. All right. So let's have a little fun now. I'm gonna let you show your example, Shane. I know you have hundreds of them. I have my own, but I think it'll be fun just to see some of the stuff you're doing because you actually touch upon both worlds, both the real estate side and the mortgage side of things. Let me try to give you control of the screen. That might take me just a second. Have you done that recently, Annalisa?
So we want to give Shane control of the presentation?
Yep.
I don't think we can because he's not an organizer. I can see if I can add him as an organizer. But
I made him an organizer. I made him an organizer prior.
He's not showing up as an organizer right now.
Oh, you messed up. I know what you did. You didn't log in with the same email.
I just clicked the link. But I can shoot you some links into Facebook Messenger if that is easier.
Yeah, you can do that, and I'm going to bring up your ads account. You can kind of tell me where to go if you don't mind that being on the screen.
Also, I think there were a couple of questions, one from Michael Broderick and another from Andrea about offline events and specialty audiences. If you could loop back to those two. Thank you.
Yep. I saw one question about having 1,000 visitors show up. The ad will still show, like Shane just said, if you have one person in the list. It'll just show that there's a small audience when you go to run the ad. I think that's what that question is referring to. And then the offline events, that's just what they call it, Andrea. The That's the term they're using. It's not actually an offline. It's happening online. I'm not sure why Facebook calls it that.
You actually, I think what they're asking there with those 1,000 visitors is sometimes if you don't, when you look at that audience, Facebook will tell you like it's not ready because you don't have enough people. That doesn't really matter. Just use it anyway. If you use that as a custom audience in the creation of your ad, it's going to pull that audience anyway. Facebook's going to say, oh, you have less than 1,000 people or whatever. It doesn't matter. You can run to an audience of 1.
So basically, it's that meter saying too specific, too broad, or just right, but you can still run it regardless.
Yeah, that doesn't really matter, and I almost kind of ignore that when you're doing when you're using custom audiences, because your audiences will tend to be super small if you're using those custom lists. Most times, you're not going to have
the target.
1,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so Shane, were you going to drop stuff to me in Facebook?
Yeah, I just messaged you. I'll message you a couple because I have them open already, the individual ads themselves.
Gotcha. I think I was able to just do that. So there we go.
Yeah. So,
okay, go ahead.
So that is like an ad that runs retargeting to like we were saying, someone that maybe came in through my sell.php page and didn't register. I'll come back to them with a different angle. That would be a lead form. So if this is more less specific to their property and more just home values in the area, and then I'll give them try to get them to bite on something else that way.
Yep. So here in this case, I clicked on it. The lead form pre-fills my name, email, and phone. We can even start to go after the full address now if we want to.
Yeah, well. I normally will follow that up with my initial text then from conversion. My welcome text says, hey, thanks for interest in home values in Ocean Township. Shoot me a text back with your address, and I'll send you over a free custom home value report on your property, which kind of that's like my second level of intent then. So those people that reply to that text, take that second step, and I'll pull their address that way.
Oh, I didn't realize you're not actually. I want to see where this goes.
See, that's just going to go to the regular, the conversion area page.
I love it. I love it.
Local property stats, and that's the same thing there, right? See, I can have separate retargeting then set up on Ocean_Township. You know what I mean? And I could then send them listings or whatever to drive them back, or whatever. You can really do anything at that point. But I'm getting that email address and phone number right away. Then they should get it. They'll normally get a text. Hey, send me your personal address, and I'll give you a custom valuation on your property, sort of thing.
I almost forgot this existed. So basically, with one click, anybody can create on a conversion site a page like this for a specific town.
Yeah, those pages are really great. Actually, I use them in pretty much in most of my leads. It's just like, hey, click here for property stats, sort of thing. And so see those pages, I used to have to, because now I can collect that info straight from Facebook. I don't need a squeeze or a landing page necessarily like I used to before I send them here. I can just send them there because I already pull their info from Facebook. And you get around that second registration thing where everyone always gets worried, with having Facebook with a second registration. I already have them registered. I send them here, and then you could always retarget based on that town or whatever up top too.
That's awesome, man. I just got it. Sorry I didn't hear that sooner, but I just realized what you're doing. Yeah,
just to add in, if you remove the Wayside Farms and just put in a zip code within that URL, we can also pull by zip code on an individual one-by-one basis.
Wow.
That's just new as of I think last week. So that's also a neat little trick as well.
Sweet. Yes, because it converts well when you target by zip code within the ad.
Right.
I did a lot of that back in the day. Wow. Okay.
And then I think it should show individual neighborhoods and areas at the very bottom, like if you scroll down a bit. So you can get into even a deeper pull if you need to.
Yeah, can we end this now? I have some ads to go run.
No.
This is very cool. Very cool. I hope everybody's seeing this. So what Shane's doing, everybody, is he's running one ad that's a lead ad that gets people to opt in for this. And he follows up by trying to get them to either give their address through a lead form or just running them straight to sell.php, to the sell page on the website. Right, Shane?
Yeah, you can always bring those people back too, right? So most people, if they're thinking about selling, will also start looking at homes for sale in the area, right? So I could have a retargeting audience that's set up that's anything that contains that town name or that zip code. And the same thing will happen to my buyers, right? My buyers will also, the town name would be in the URL. So I could retarget that URL with just general stuff in the area, general listings in the area. I just popped another link over to you. That's kind of an example of something that I would use there, or for buyers or sellers, is the like a recently reduced lead form.
I'm just trying to grab it. You know what? Can you drop it again? For some reason, it's saying no bueno. It's not giving it to me.
Uh-oh. How about now?
Keep saying attachment might not be available. I might have to go. You want me to go right to the campaign? What's it called?
Oakland. I don't know. Search Oakland. Something. Yeah, sometimes if you fall out of lead forms are funny. If you fall out of that area, it doesn't let you see the post.
Weird. All right, Oakland.
The Oakland buyers one, yeah.
Cool.
And then there's
Am I on the right page here?
click edit on there. Let's see. Yeah, that should be right.
Okay.
So basically, it's a similar ad, right? It just is an ad for recently reduced homes in Oakland, which is kind of the same as you'd be pushing out for just regular lead gen, but now I'm pushing that out, to people who have already expressed interest in that town or area. So this particular one is running for is a lead form, but normally if I'm doing a follow up on a lead form, I'd run it just for clicks because I already have the email address and phone number. It's really just a circle around. It's operates in the same way as your alert email does, right? I'm just sending them listings, but I'm just trying to drive those people back to my website, stay top of mind, because the more, like I was saying before, the more audiences that these people fall into and the more that they're engaged, the more they're going to see your retargeting. So if you're doing just overall general branding type stuff, they're going to see those more. And that's really, I mean, what I do with a lot of, the retargeting is that, branding type stuff. Like this, you should be able to click and see if I send you the link there. See if that works.
Yeah, this is great. I was hoping you'd show something like this. Here, let's bring it over. So this is an actual.
So this is just like a more of like a branding piece. It'll say looking to sell or buy your home with a link to send message, but it's really just a video that brands the agent and their team. That's a lot of the retargeting that I do. It's just like throwing your brand in front of people's faces, so it allows you, kind of to say, hey, if you register on my conversion site or you take this step or that step, it's my all-encompassing field. And the more that they engage, the more they'll see you. So now they watch this video, they've just made another level of engagement. They're going to see more and more of your branding now.
Yeah, and it's good to hit people. It's an NLP thing, I guess, or basic psychology thing, but it's good to hit people with different modalities, meaning visual, audio. Here they get to hear something. You're going to make them laugh. Then they're going to get an email from you tomorrow. They're going to say, oh, Joe Oz, that guy's crazy. I saw that guy in a tutu yesterday, even if it's all subconscious.
Yeah, it works on multiple levels. Like it's funny, even like, and when you say, like with, and it works on multiple levels, right? Like a guy like Joe, he told me he was door knocking out in California, where he's, is new to the business. And he actually came back and put someone into his CRM, and we had that offline event category set up. So that then pushed into a retargeting audience. That person started seeing him. He called a couple days later, and the lady's like, oh yeah, like it looks like you do a lot of business in the area. She didn't know him from Adam 2 days ago, but then sees the branding, and all of a sudden, you're on their mind. It's just top of mind. It's really just touches for a low cost.
That story was great on so many levels. Can I run through it? First off, Joe Oz he's pretty successful in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
He's making some money. He's out in California door knocking.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Like that says a lot. Like this dude's already been successful in one market. He goes to a new market. He starts door knocking.
Hey, he was trying to recreate his brand out there, and that's, you got to go back to brass tacks, right?
Right. So then he goes ahead and he meets somebody at the door and he goes and plugs them into conversion. And you've got this little offline event trigger going. So the person gets added. He probably doesn't know anything about how to do this, right?
No, he just knows that when he puts someone into the CRM, they start seeing his branding.
Right. So then a couple of days later, that person gets hit with an ad like this.
Right. And then so what had happened when he talked to her door knocking, he says, oh yeah, she said like she might sell in like 2 years or whatever. So he took her cell phone number, took the email, put her in the database as like a long-term follow-up type client, called on like Tuesday or whatever. He was door knocking on Saturday, called on Tuesday, hey, nice to meet you sort of call. And the lady said, oh yeah, it looks like you do, a ton of business out here in the area. Actually we're thinking about moving when my son graduates in May or whatever. So you went from someone that was going to move in 2 years to now someone that is moving in May. And really the only difference is trust, right? That's at the end of the day, selling real estate is like selling anything else. I got to trust you. Then I got to think you're at least somewhat knowledgeable about whatever it is that you're selling. And then from there, you take those next steps. So it's really just digitizing the beginning of that process,
But he could have done all that with a $5 ad budget.
Exactly. That's the point where, or he could have, lost it if he called on Tuesday and the lady said, oh yeah, that's great, but had no additional follow-up, or spent money on a postcard for the area and it would have cost him $1,000 to blanket the area with a postcard. Yeah. You literally, with those sorts of videos, you're getting an impression for like a penny a piece. So essentially anything's an impression, right? A postcard's an impression, a video's an impression, an image is an impression. They're all impressions and you're getting them for a penny a piece there. It's pretty wild.
Yep. The term I like to use, instead of 33 touches, we have 33,000 micro touches.
And the reality is like at the end of the day, we're just trying to save money, right? Because if we save more money, we make more money, and that's the thing. If I can serve the same purpose as something that's tangible, and I can do it digitally for 1,000th of the cost, I'm able to like you're saying, stay in front of people 1,000 more times for the same cost.
That's awesome. Question or two here. Can you do a video? I will do a video about the webhooks and stuff like that, Teresa. That'll come this week, probably tomorrow. Can you show us how to get to the area info page and conversion for Greg? Those info pages, Shane, how do you go about finding those? I know they're at the bottom sometimes.
Yeah, if you just scroll all the way down to the bottom, it'll tell you it'll show you those normally.
Depending on the template of which you're using, so the areas we cover, if you go to the main URL, like the main search page, you should be able to scroll down. So yeah, and then scroll down from there.
Oh, okay.
On Hero, on Foundation, it always shows at the bottom.
Right. So we'll be able to click here, and then you can change what's after here. You can go to a specific tip or type in cities. You'll just need to know.
Yeah, and the cool thing with those too, you can, like you were saying, Annalisa was saying before, you can actually go to those different neighborhoods, right? So those are big. Like we do a lot in like here in New Jersey, like the Jersey City Hoboken market, where Jersey City, one side of Jersey City you might get shot at, the other side of Jersey City you're paying $2 million for a 1-bedroom condo. Sometimes that's important to people. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
It's kind of, if you really want to focus on a particular area. And it corresponds with your ad itself, right? Because if my ad's targeting by zip code rather than town name, it's always going to perform better using those zip codes in the URL as well.
I'm getting an idea for a retargeting video here. I love my Screencast-O-Matic. You could literally just screencast this page and talk about it as a video, right?
Yeah, I do. I actually have agents that do that, that do like a property update, and they'll run it as, you can do, like they do it as a live video. They'll just do a Facebook Live screen share and literally just run through there. Hey, home values here in the 33711 are, on the rise. This is what we have, on the market now, blah, 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 and they'll run through it. It's, all the information's there. You really can just kind of follow through and
yeah,
babble about it for however long you want.
Yeah, and it's just a chance to build trust and show you're an expert one more time.
I'm going to shoot you over now, Ryan. I'll shoot you a message with just an idea for financing that that we started doing the other day. I know you do some of these as well.
Yep.
But just the same thing. If you're getting your lender on board, and that's our main focus here. I am with Bond Street, so I do solicit for loans. That's my end goal. My agent relationships are great, and being able to help agents do business helps me do more business. But your lender, if your lender is forward thinking and running their own ad campaigns as well, you can actually utilize those audiences to get that second level of engagement there, to try to get people to raise their hands on another level. This one, wondering what it's really going to cost you. It's just a short video. Hey, find out what you can afford, sort of thing, from the lender standpoint.
Here, I'll go ahead and run it, because this is doing pretty well, right? I've seen the leads.
Yeah, it's not doing bad, actually. Go figure. I got this whole office full of guys in fancy suits. You throw my mug out there, that's what sells.
Here we go. So he's just sitting at his desk. And that's a lead ad, right? Or you're sending them to a form.
Yeah, that actually that's for clicks. That goes to, I don't know, like a short app or something. And that's what to keep in mind with all this is you can run any type of advertising to these custom audiences. I'll shoot you over another one, and keep in mind, especially for people that are running engagement type stuff, you can actually retarget people to get Facebook engagement to fall into another bucket. So like this particular one that I'm sending you right here is a team leader out in California that I work with, said he wants to get some more agents involved and get some agents on his team. So we actually run this ad for engagement to a custom audience that's built off of a file list of email addresses and cell phone numbers of agents in his MLS, like you were saying before, for the recruiting type thing. But now what happens is that if people engage with this video, they fall into a secondary audience as engagers now with the page, and we can follow them around with branded advertising. So that's really where you take your engagement and turn that into business or recruits or whatever. The video is always just a hook, right? The video is just to get that initial engagement, and then everything else kind of takes it from there.
Yeah, that's great. So not only for straight buyer leads, lots of implications for recruiting. And another thing that just popped in my head, another good reason to be doing this is the word cross-channel. Like the guy knocking on doors, he was in real life, Joe, and then he put it in his database, and now instead of seeing him in real life, they're seeing him on Facebook. If you were paying for leads from Zillow, Google pay-per-click, other sources like that, and you start to use those, get those people added to these custom audiences in Facebook, you can then cross-channel over to where most people are anyway. Which is,
I feel like it's almost more important with those people. You know what I mean? The biggest thing with someone, like if I am taking leads from third parties, Zillow, Realtor.com, something like that, and I have them importing into my conversion account anyway, I want to be doing anything in my power to get them to start searching on my conversion website as soon as possible, right? Because every time they go back to those third-party websites, it's a risk to me as an agent that data will go out to another agent, right? So I'm trying to nail the competition down by keeping those people internal. At least I hope that, if someone comes to my conversion site and they're searching, hopefully they're coming back there anyway, just based on the alert emails and stuff. But especially if they're coming from those third parties, I want to be blasting them. Hey, click here. I have everything Zillow has. I have, up-to-date IDX search. I have all the available properties on the MLS right here for you. Don't go anywhere else. Come here, come here.
Yep. Yeah, that's going to be a big one. So the Zillow, the third-party lead sources being injected, we need to do a separate video about that. And we have some questions. I think, Shane, you and I could go on forever, and we touch upon a lot of advanced stuff quickly. We will synthesize some of those advanced comments into little 2 or 3 minute videos for you guys. So don't worry. Just treat these webinars as sort of the exposure to what's possible, and then you can sort of work backwards. Don't get overwhelmed, right? And go back one thing at a time and knock it down. Right, Shane?
I honestly, everything I do and everything that I've learned is literally by watching videos like this. I mean, honestly, when I first got started with conversion, watching your videos, And literally, that's how I learned how to use conversion. I had 2 monitors open. I had that day's webinar open on one, and I had my conversion account open on the other. And I'd go through and I'd pause the video, and I'd take the next step, and I'd pause the video, and I'd take the next step, and I'd pause the video. And that's, I mean, and then a lot of this stuff, when you're doing it day in, day out, it becomes second nature. And then that's where, one day that, something clicks in your head, and you're like, wait, I can create audiences based on this and do that with them. And it just kind of, that's those aha moments. But yeah, it's definitely not something that someone should just watch this webinar and understand. It is a step-by-step thing, but as you understand those little steps and processes, it just becomes, second nature and kind of easier as you go. But that would be my recommendation. Take the recording of the webinar, open it up, pick something that, that we talked about today that you want to do. Go to that part and literally piece it together. And, I know the support people at Conversion are great. You're great. I'm available if people have questions, so, there's always resources out there. And a lot of this stuff is probably covered in additional webinars as well. There's little pieces and stuff like that as well. So
you'd be surprised how much you can just Google, because that's how I've learned everything. So yeah,
that's how I fix my car.
Yeah. Could you go back to one last question? I know Julie was asking, where does that lead form come from? So does the lead form come from Facebook when you're speaking to the lead form a little while ago?
Yes. So when you create an ad, I'll just go ahead and run through that. You can choose the objective. It's called lead. I think it's called lead. So wait, I got to step back here.
Lead generation, I think it says, for the original objective. It's the one in the middle column all the way at the bottom.
I had to step out of the campaign here, and things are a little slow because we have cameras and a bunch of apps open. So just give me a second, and I'll show you how to create this. So I click create, and it's going to be the lead generation option. And at the bottom of creating your ad, you'll have the ability to pick what fields you want to be included. A lot of the a la carte services that Conversion offers, the buyer leads, are this type of ad. So if you want a shortcut way to make sure you're getting an accurate name, email, phone number from Facebook, this would be the way to go. Wow, I don't want to open a can of worms with the advertising department, but it would be nice if they could start to retarget. And maybe that'll be something that's on the horizon. I don't think they offer that currently. But yep, you just go in, go to the ads, and then down at the bottom where you write your ad copy, you'll see the option to create a new form. And then you can pick the questions and the fields that you want to offer. I will say that this is difficult stuff, right, Shane? You even at the level Shane and I are at, you can have a lot of campaigns fail before you get a good one. It's
a little
that's all I'll say.
Is you kind of piece things together, and then you put it up, and then you realize that you forgot to click one thing, and then you got to go in and redo it. But hopefully the idea is to just get to the point where you know where the problem is sooner rather than later. That's kind of the way I look at it, is that at least if something comes in, I can say, wait, that's not what I wanted. How do I make it what I wanted?
Yep. Andrea is asking, so a la carte will get phone numbers. The a la carte buyer lead generation, I believe, Annalisa, I believe that department, because I think I designed those campaigns, I think they're still collecting phone numbers on every one, right?
It's supposed to yield a very, very high percentage of phone numbers for the Facebook.
The only way you're not going to get a phone number is if the person manually goes and deletes the phone number. And this is, I run lots of ads using this, and I would say the number's in the 99% range.
Yeah, it's super high, and it is designed with a form similar to what you're showing here to pull that content. So like last week when you were speaking to Zapier and creating the zaps with the forms to pull that number, you just click submit, it pulls that information directly from Facebook, pops it in, and you're signed up as a consumer.
Yeah, usually the only way that I feel like that information isn't accurate is if usually if it's not accurate, it's someone like me testing your lead form out. Like if I click on a lead form, I have fake info in there because I test a lot of lead forms. But the average consumer, I don't feel like is taking the time to delete that or change it or anything like that. I mean, I run lead forms across a lot of different accounts for a lot of different purposes, and I very rarely have fake data in there or no data at all.
Yep. Yeah. The only other thing that can happen is the cell number Facebook has on file could be wrong, or yeah, maybe one of the partners they sold the data to changed it. I don't know.
I find more common than not, you'll get a bad email address. Like for me, I log into Facebook with my college email address because when Facebook first came out, that's what you needed. Now I'm an old man now. It's been a long time since I was in college, but I just never changed that. But my cell phone number will be real, because I have the Facebook app on my phone, and Facebook knows who I am that way. So
yep.
You'll get a fake email, but you get a good cell phone number.
So, great, Shane. So we're getting a little long. We could do this all day, every day, Shane. Maybe we should. But a little. So I'm going to knock off a few questions. Greg, thank you for the positive feedback. Greg's asking if he can add his own videos and 360-degree pics, etc. on a conversion site. I don't know if you can add your own virtual tours to listings, but you can definitely always do a blog post. And Andrew said, I'd rather pay someone to do all this. There are people out there, just Google around, asking the group. Shane, I think I don't know if you just help anybody, but if there are, you do some co-marketing through Bond Street, right?
If they want to send me their loans, I'll do whatever they want.
Well, be careful. Okay.
Within reason.
Yeah. Stay compliant over there, buddy.
Yeah. No, yeah, we do. We'll co-market. If agents are interested in that sort of thing. Or I mean, the reality is we based a lot of what we do around relationships. So if someone needed help running through that sort of thing, that's kind of just something we do. If you're an agent, you're in our network, and we're building a relationship together. By all means, we like to help.
Cool. And then a question again about replays. It will be posted to the group, and then we have, if you go to facebook.com/conversion/videos, if you go to the videos tab, I'm organizing all these replays into one playlist now, so that they should be easy to find. The last 5 or 6 weeks are in there, 4 or 5 weeks. What format do you feel is the best format for lead forms? I've used carousel and single image. Slideshow and carousel gives too many pictures. I'll be honest, I only ever use video and single image always does better. I don't know why, for me.
I second that, and I have no idea why, but it does.
The videos should do better. They should be more engaging, but I have video campaigns bomb more often than not combined with a lead form. It's very strange.
Yes, single image with lead form is I don't know. I have no idea why. Video should work, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for all that questions and participation, Shane. Thanks a lot. You're just Shane Bond on Facebook. You're probably already retargeting all these people, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. If you engage with me at all, I'll follow you around the internet forever. So you'll see me around, I'm sure.
It's true. You'll see him on like Yahoo or not Yahtzee ads, Bond Street. Yep, you will.
Yeah, words with friends. I'm big on words with friends. I had like 3 of my friends text me earlier, and they're like, "Stop interrupting my videos."
Cool. All right, and thank you again, everybody. We'll get the replay live later this afternoon in the group probably, and talk to everybody next week. See ya.
Hey, thanks, guys. It was nice chatting with you.
Bye. Thanks, Annalisa.